Hi, I'm Mr. Breland. I haven't had the privilege of meeting all of you yet, so I thought one thing I might do would be to make some videos so that you and I can have a little bit of face-to-face time. I've heard some concerns from parents about not really understanding all of the homework that the students get, and I understand that with the Eureka Math curriculum that can be a challenge. So hopefully I can communicate a bit more to you about this, about the work that your students are doing. So this will be the 6th week of the 2018-19 school year, and we've completed our Module 1 from the 7th grade curriculum, which was on proportional ratios and proportional relationships. And now we'll be moving on into Module 2 from the Eureka Math curriculum, which is, I should have the title of it right here somewhere. Let's see, rational numbers. All right, so what I'd like to do with you right now is to introduce the module and talk a little bit about the first topic that we'll be covering and talk about the week will be the work that we're going to be doing in the first week, and then hopefully make some regular updates so that you can keep up with what we're doing in class. All right, so Module 1 is about Module 2 is about rational numbers. And the purpose of this module is for students to build an understanding of rational numbers and to use arithmetic operations with signed numbers. All right, so already I know that for some folks that was kind of shoo, okay? So when we say build an understanding of rational numbers are numbers that can be represented as fractions. So they're not anything terribly exotic, but we use the term rational numbers, and I've got a video explaining rational numbers to make a little more sense of that. Now, using arithmetic operations, well, that's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then signed numbers, the signs are positive and negative. So we're simply talking about essentially adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative numbers, which to many of you doesn't sound terribly difficult. But please remember, for 7th graders who are encountering this kind of thing for maybe the first time, these can be very difficult concepts to grasp. So to get back to all of that, then we're working with rational numbers, which are numbers that can be written as fractions of ratios of integers. Okay, fractions or ratios of integers. So a fraction is a ratio. 1 over 4, we can say 1 to 4. All right, that's a ratio. And I've got another video explaining that. Our arithmetic operations, well, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, sounds very simple to those of us who've been using them for 20 plus years, but they're not as simple as it sounds, and that's kind of what we'll be digging into with your students. So that's the Module 1. And Topic A, what we're doing is starting out with sums and differences of signed numbers. So sums and differences of positive and negative numbers, including those rational numbers. So we'll talk a little bit about fractions. And what we're doing is taking a lot of the arithmetic that everybody does. I mean, even some animals do very simple arithmetic, and we do it automatically. We automatically use math all day, every day. What we don't automatically do is formally represent that those mathematical operations in symbols. And that's really what we're working on with your students. And as we go through this process, they'll be building their abilities to represent actual situations with mathematical equations, and building their ability then to interact with mathematics at higher levels as they progress through middle school and on into high school. So the schedule that we'll be going over, come here. I got my own, but we work on all of this stuff. Okay, go away. So my kitchen table at home. All right, so the schedule that we'll be moving on into as we go through the module. This coming week, that'll be the 6th week of the semester. Tomorrow is, what month is it? September, so September 10th, tomorrow. We will start covering lessons 1 through 4 from the Eureka Math 7th grade curriculum module 2, so we'll be in topic A. We'll do 1 through 4 this week, and then we should assess. I typically try to assess every Friday, so send your kids to school on Fridays so that they can take quizzes and they can figure out where they're getting it and where they're not, so I can help. All right, we'll cover 1 through 4 this week. We should cover lessons 5 through 8 next week, and that should end topic A, and we'll be ready to start into topic B. We will get, I believe we'll be able to finish topic B before the end of the quarter, but I will give you updates on that in my future communications. So, okay, one more thing then. How to help your students with homework. All right, so when your students come home from school, they should have 2 things. They should have their math notebook. Your student needs to bring a math notebook to my class every day. We will start most class periods by taking some notes, which will help them to engage with the course materials, cover vocabulary, and other important information. So they should have those notes in their math notebook. I give them plenty of time to get the notes copied down. So if they're coming home without the notes done, that's an indication that they're not on task in my classroom. The other thing that they should come home with is the lesson. Now the lesson may not always be complete because we don't always have time to get through the entirety of the handout. The handouts just come out of a workbook that we use, but we'll cover the most important parts of it. Their notes should help them to be able to engage with the exercises and the problem sets that are in each. I assign different problems out of the problem sets. They should be writing those down. There's nothing wrong with working all the problems from a problem set, but I understand if I don't assign them all, students are reluctant to work them all. Now, in addition, when you look at problems with them, the problems in these Eureka Math workbooks are different from the textbook problems I worked when I was coming through school. I really do think they're great for helping kids to think critically about the conceptual matter that we're covering. However, I understand that sometimes the problems reference things that just seem obscure because you don't necessarily have all of those past worksheets to look at that may explain some of it. So what I've tried to do is to set up a number of videos on my YouTube channel that cover some of those additional things. This is another one. For this module, I have made videos that cover a lot of the important vocabulary and topics that we're covering. And I've done that not for your student, but for you, so that you can view those and say, okay, well, what is it they're covering? And so I've tried to present that material to give you a bit of a refresher on it, because, well, if you're anything like me, you've been out of school for a while, and you may not be necessarily familiar with the same vocabulary we use, even if you use the math on a regular basis. Okay, so you can check out those videos. I'll link the playlist, and I'll try to provide some additional links on stuff I send home. Check with your kids. Are they really doing homework? I know that the Eureka Math modules can be found online. You can find basically this is my teacher's edition. It's available as a PDF online, which means that any student can take their work, go home, find the teacher's edition, look up the sample answers that are given. So here's a set of them right here, and they can copy these right down. That doesn't do your student any good. So please make sure that they're actually engaging with the homework problems, because that's their practice at home. You know, if your kid was a baseball player and you sent them to the batting cages, you wouldn't be very happy if they came home and said, oh, well, I watched a bunch of other people hit balls, so that was my practice. That wouldn't help them to develop. Please make sure they're doing their own work. it's kind of difficult sometimes for me to identify it, especially considering, if I have to look at 100 papers. So, another thing that you can do is if you run into something that you're unfamiliar with, identify the keywords from the module. So lesson 1 here, opposite quantities combine to make 0. In the module or in the lesson, exercise 1, positive and negative numbers review. If you run into something you're unfamiliar with and you can't find one of my videos that deals with it, I have a lot of playlists on my channel that might deal with it, or you can always just search YouTube. There's a lot of really great help to be found there. You can enter a search into Google, and you can find a lot of really good resources there. But for the most part, I'm going to try and make sure that I have set up some playlists that link to the relevant topics, so you can familiarize yourself and you can be involved in your child's mathematics education. There's no substitute for parental involvement. And if you need help finding anything, please let me know.